Make it stick. Welcome back. Let's jump into Anki. All right. We got four flashcards. What do we got? What are the 7 tools / habits for calibrating your judgment? Okay. Retrieval / testing, pure instruction, constructive feedback / pure feedback. Pay attention to the cues you're using to judge whether you're learning or not, or how well you're learning. Simulations, teams and kind of apprenticeships, and then mistakes made like in actual like the field, in actual experience. Oh, okay. Looks good. Oh no. What are the 14 claims the authors make it sick? Here we go. Direct relationship between amount of effort of retrieval and the amount of learning. People are often poor judges of when they're learning. Massed practice and rereading are among the most common study techniques across domains, yet they are shown by evidence to be some of the least effective study techniques. Retrieval practice is more effective than rereading and reviewing notes as a study technique. Spaced and interleaved. Spaced and interleaved. Retrieval practice is more difficult. You can feel like you're learning less, but you're actually learning more, and it's more effective than like massed retrieval practice. All right. Attempting to do something, perform a skill, answer a question before learning how to do it leads to deeper learning once you do learn how to do it. 2. What do we got here? 7. I think this is the learning styles one. So the traditional view of learning styles is a myth. Sticking to one learning style that is your preferred is not shown to be a way to increase learning. Going broad has been shown to be more effective, meaning using multiple different types of resources and tailoring it towards what you're actually trying to learn, what subject. 8. So discrimination skills, that is the ability to discriminate between two closely related things, understand the underlying principles that differ between the two things, is a skill that can be trained through interleaved and varied practice-ish, but mostly interleaved practice. And then it's actually a transferable skill that leads to more ability to discriminate nuance among further closely related things to the things you were studying or interleaving. 9. All learning requires previous learning. 10. We are all susceptible to illusions of knowing, and testing is a great way to better calibrate our understanding of what we actually know and what we don't know. 11. There's no known limit to how much we can learn if we use elaboration. 12. The more information we already have that we can connect new information to, the more effective, the quicker, and actually potentially the easier the learning. 13. A sign of expertise / mastery is the ability to basically, it's called structure building now, but part of it is to boil down information into its key points and patterns, connect those key points and patterns into a mental model, and then connect that mental model to other mental models that you've developed. 14, learning physically changes the brain. We can become smarter. Wow, we did it. First try. See you in 24 days. What are the 7 sections of Chapter 7 Increase Your Abilities? This is what we're on right now. All right, I'm forgetting the first one now. I'm forgetting the first section, but the second section is IQ mutable? Yeah, no, it's neuroplasticity. Is IQ mutable? Brain training? Growth mindset? Deliberate practice? Memory cues? The takeaway. Boom. Pretty good. What are the 9 sections and 9 subsections? Chapter 4, embracing ability. All the difficult ones today. Here we go. How learning occurs: encoding, consolidation, retrieval. Extended learning: updating retrieval cues. Easier isn't better. How effort helps: reconsolidating memories, creating mental models, broadening mastery, improving versatility, priming the mind for learning, fostering conceptual learning. Pretty good. All right, now can we do the rest? Other learning strategies that incorporate desirable difficulties. An example of generative learning. Undesirable difficulties, the takeaway. We're missing one. All right, we have other learning strategies that incorporate desirable difficulties. Other learning strategies that incorporate desirable difficulties. An example of generative learning, undesirable difficulties is the takeaway. We're missing one. Failure in the myth of errorless learning. Unbelievable. All right. What did we read about yesterday? What did we learn about? I know we're in the section now on memory cues. I don't know if we were in deliberate practice yesterday or not. All right, here we go. Golly, dude. I know we read about Mark Twain. Oh, okay, here we go. Yep. It's all coming back now. Boom. Basically, all of yesterday we read about second mnemonic, which is the memory palace. Another very similar related is the focus of loci. Focus of loci of focus. Loci of memory, something along those lines. Memory palace is where you imagine a very familiar space and you add items or memory cues within the memory or the visual memory to things you want to remember, because humans, we remember visual information much more easily than language and textual language information. And so we can actually take language information and use visual information as a cue because it's a more powerful cue, especially in familiar locations. The method of loci, maybe, I think that is, it's very similar, but you imagine a very familiar path you've taken before, not just a space. And so we read about Mark Twain, how he learned that visual cues are more potent than verbal cues, and how he used basically vision and the method of loci and just visual cues as a way to help his children remember and learn all of the monarchs of the of England, essentially in English history. Yeah, I think that's basically everything for yesterday. We didn't read that much. I've used the memory palace before. I just don't like memorizing things that much. I just trying to avoid wasting my time memorizing things that I don't need to. Method of loci. All right. On to the next section. So I'll be back in a bit to recall what I read. All right, guys. Today we read about some other mnemonic devices and kind of the overall idea of mnemonic devices. So we learned about the peg method, which essentially I think you memorize 20 concrete items that rhyme with 1 through 20. And it's like 1 is bun, 2 is shoe. I don't remember the rest, but then you take these concrete items and associate and make some association. So you're like, bun, how does that relate to the thing I'm trying to remember? Okay, shoe, how can that relate to something I remember? So that's the peg method. It helps you memorize lists up to 20. Actually, that could help me memorize the 14 things the author claims the author's making. Make it sick. Not a bad idea to try it out. I don't really want to spend all that time doing that though. I just never really cared about helping memory things. I'd rather just care about understanding things. And sometimes you need to remember things to understand things, so, but not usually memorizing lists. That doesn't really ever do much. Then we learned about how you can, poems or songs that you're familiar with can help you. You can use like different phrases of the songs, different musical phrases or verses to cue memories. So overall, the idea of mnemonics is you have some structure, some general structure that you're either already extremely familiar with or you become familiar with through repetition, and simplification, such as acronyms or rhyming, in order to cue much more complex memories. So you're using some simple, very familiar structure to then cue memories. Yeah. All right. So we just started reading about a little anecdote of this Oxford student, but not Oxford University. Some high school student taking what they call A levels in the UK, and how you need to get a good grade to get into the university of your choice. And that's really all we got to in that section. I think at this point, we're pretty far into this book. I think all the main points are largely already been stated. All these extra mnemonic stuff I don't really care that much about, but it is what it is. We'll keep reading it. And then it's going to be the takeaway, and then it's going to be the last chapter, which is a 50-page chapter called Make It Stick. So I'm assuming that's just going to be a big recap, essentially, and tying everything together. I'm seeing retrieval, I'm seeing generation and reflection. I'm seeing, Well, I mean, we'll have to find out what it's about, but we're nearly there. We're less than 10 pages away from finishing chapter 7, and this chapter is really not very dense. It's very, there's lots of stories and anecdotes that I just don't think are that important for me, like spending a lot of time learning. One read through, a couple of recalls were good to keep moving. Not tons of notes needed to be taken. We're not going through studies at this point. It's mostly a lot of anecdotes. So that's it for today. We're getting dang close. We're at page 190. So, oh. Yeah. We're like 75% of the way done. So, that's it for today. Talk to you tomorrow. See you.